Okay, this particular session, I wanted to speak to you a little bit about play action passes and in our particular program, and I'll speak to you in particular about one play action pass as we go on. I think that's probably about all we're going to get through. Things are important to us, and we made a conscientious effort a couple years ago to incorporate more play action passes. We had been predominantly a drop back team, and we felt like when we reduced our package in terms of a run package with our one-back offense, that we needed to build a real good play-action pass scheme with that. Some of the things are probably points that you already know, but I think it's still worth the emphasis. We want to run them off of our best plays. We want them obviously to complement our running game. I don't think you can have an effective one-back run game without having play-action passes. The three primary things of most one-back teams: the zone plays inside and outside, and they're very much a part of our package. The draws are very much a part of our package. Now we incorporate draws and shovels. And then the counter tray, which most people talk about. You talk about play-action passing, you have to have good faking. And that's run and pass. You want to make them fairly similar. And at our level, we spend a lot of time with our kids talking to them about it and trying to make sure that happens. Again, we play-action passing, we want it to be an integral part of our goal line package, and that's something I won't visit with you today. But what better time to run play-action passes than when you're down the goal line, everybody's expecting to run, everybody's got to be up there tight. It's a great time to run play-action passes. Particularly you get down there, you're maybe at the 9-yard line, plus 9-yard line, plus 10-yard line. That's the toughest place to go in at. It's a great time for a play-action pass. And this is a real important point, and we found this to be true this year. It gives us opportunities for big plays. The play that I'm going to talk to you a little bit about today, when we get to that, average 17 yards of completion at 67%. That's a big play, at least a big play in our offense. So I think that it definitely is going to give you some big football plays. And I think it's because of these reasons. One, I think it frees or controls the underneath coverage, strips the linebackers and players of flat responsibility away. And you'll see that when we start watching the tape later on, the particular play-action pass we're going to talk about. It does that very effectively. What that does then makes the numbers work for you again. Okay, some things we'll use, we'll use look-offs, we'll use pump fakes. Still need to be sound versus the blitz as much as you can. Obviously, you don't want to be in a play-action pass if you know blitz is coming. But we have particular things. We'd want to be in a 7-man protection if we knew the blitz was coming. Or if there's a threat, for us, if there's a threat of, they have 8 people up there. A lot of times if you're holding that tight end in a 7-man protection, now they can come with an additional guy. So you're really looking at an 8-man front. Then there's another thing that we do as well. We would actually end up with a semi-roll to try to gain us a little bit of ground away from that. You always put you into a take-2 situation. I can visit with you more in depth about that too if you want to see me later. We still use play-action fakes most of the time, a draw fake from a deep alignment or from a shotgun, because we do get into the deep alignment. We did quite a little bit this year, but we still want to use that draw fake because that draw fake still helps hold that those underneath coverage people, those linebackers. We'd like to emphasize play-action passes predominantly in normal yardage situations where there's an equal chance of run and pass, or in situations that there's more of a chance for run than pass. The only thing I don't like about that particular situation in many instances, it's because the secondary is up so tight, they don't leave a lot of void in between. Normal yardage situations, you can strip the underneath coverage, linebackers, flat players. You can strip those out of there and you still got a lot of room underneath to be able to throw the football. But, and that goes along with, our general philosophy in terms of being unpredictable. We still want to have a high percentage of completions. Like I said, what we're going to end up talking about a little while here, we were at 67%. Okay. Okay, the scheme that we're going to talk a little bit about, or spend some time with, and let me Again, we run the outside zone play in our one-back attack. It was a good run play for us. We averaged 4 yards to the left. We averaged 4.7 yards to the right. We figure any time in a basic run play that we're going to run a number of times, we're averaging 4 yards or better, we're in pretty decent shape. 4, 4, and 4 is first down, so we're in good shape. So we do want to run it off of our best particular play. In terms of protection, and it'll vary a little bit. Off of the basic zone play now, we're stretching with our back. We're actually looking at a point here. Right now, we're a yard outside the tackle in case we run it to an open inside, so we've got the same mesh point. Our quarterback right now, and I'll get into that in a little bit more particular, but we're going to open at 4 o'clock to the right. We'd open at 8 o'clock to the left, and we'd be setting predominantly behind the tackle. And I'll get into the specifics of that a little bit later after I handle protection. We're in a full scoop type scheme off of 53 scoop for us. So now the pass is going to come off that same type of action. Our basic rules on the front side now are going to be big or man protection. So we're going to get our big, we're going to get our big people on their big people. Tight end is off. Okay? Now in this particular instance, this particular scheme, we're going to tell our back now, it's the same as our drop back scheme. If he's got a man protection his side, he's responsible for the inside backer. So we will still eyeball that inside backer as he's taking his fake, and so he'll still eyeball that backer, because if that backer comes, if he comes from off the line of scrimmage, then we'll abort the fake with the back, and we'll go ahead and take that inside backer. Now this last year, 2 or 3 times we got hit with that backer running through, and our back wasn't paying any attention. Now if he's up in the line of scrimmage, obviously I don't want to be in this particular play, and our quarterback would check out of it. We'll run it to the tight end side or the split side, but we'll only run it to the tight end side if the tackle's uncovered because of the man type of scheme. Okay, to the back side here now, we'll end up with a dual read, always with our guard. Our center now, okay, he's going to go ahead and he's going to work with our guard on those 2 people right here. Our tackle will take a scoop step back inside, okay, but he's going to be responsible for that in-man line of scrimmage. Now our guard has a dual read, so again, if we're having any trouble with unannounced blitz coming off the boundary, we'll go ahead and abort the help of the center. We'll go ahead and step down, help the center, eyeball that backer. Backer doesn't come, we'll reel and come right back outside. Again, you don't want to be in this versus the blitz, but sometimes you get that unannounced blitz and you need to be blitz sound in order to handle that. Okay. Okay. Take a little different. We get a lot of the tight eagle look where the center is shaded. Really doesn't change too much. He's still off. He's inside to outside. Big on the front side. Okay, now same thing. Those 2 are down. He's back out late. He's down on the 5 technique. We're protecting that area back there. If we get a everybody get that? If we get a base look, okay. Again, coming back to the tight end side, we can go either way now. We would not run this back to the tight end side because the tackle is covered. Okay. Now the one thing that we'll do is if we have this particular play on and we definitely want to get to the tight end side, we may be in the left hash, for example, and we want to get to the tight end side, tackle's now covered, we'll go to our 75 package with a draw fake that side, because now we can protect it and still run the same scheme that I'm going to show you here in a little bit. We can apply either one of those. Okay, coming back to the split side here now. Again, he's inside to outside. Okay. Now, the one thing we will do here is our tackle will make a call here indicating there's nobody back outside. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, work this back, and he's off. So we don't have to double read with our guard anymore on the back side. What we make is a free call. There's nobody outside, so we're going to work everything back. And again, we're back out like that. Okay? Okay. The scheme itself. Like I said, if I had to pick out one thing that we did probably the most successful this year, it was off of this. And we call it 53 or 57 pass. Okay. I'll work it against cover 3 here to start with. Now they're going to bump here. Most of our people, our defense, other defenses, they don't like to bump all the way out with you, and that's fine. This is a great play for that team that wants to play him outside and play him back in the B gap. Sometimes people will want to keep that backer back inside, keep that backer here, and then play him outside and still back in the B gap and run support. Makes it kind of difficult here. Okay, again, good play action fake. And that back, he's going to eyeball that backer, front side backer to outside backer. Okay? His responsibility then, he's got to make that fake. It's not the quarterback's responsibility to make that fake. Our quarterback, as he's coming out, now he's coming out here, I said he's coming out at 4 o'clock. So he's going 1, 2, 3, short 4th step, drive hard off of that, and step back. So it still comes out on 5. His eyes are going to go to his first read. So his eyes can't go back to the pocket. Now, I say he can't go back to the pocket. If you watch Chad on the film, his first step, he's looking at the pocket, but then he gets his eyes back upfield. And I don't mind that so much, but I don't want him looking all the way until it's to the pocket. Now it makes us late on delivery and everything else. And again, remember, he's got inside and the outside blitz. Okay, in terms of the schemes and what we're looking at here. All right, our outside receiver play side, we're out of a trips look here with the tight end one side. Our formation, we call it Rex. Okay? His rule is conversion comeback. Soft corner. He's got that comeback route again. Same thing we ran before. Okay? Our wideouts get those over and over and over. He's working at 12 to 13 yards. Okay, he's making a little trigger move here, left, planting, and coming right down the boundary. His initial alignment on this, we try to get him at the top of the numbers. Okay, so he's making that cut somewhere on the outside of the numbers, just on the outside of the numbers and coming back downhill. Okay, that's his responsibility. Our tight end on this, he's going to go ahead and release. His responsibility is to widen the corner. Try to beat him over the top if you can, which he's not going to be able to. We haven't had any tight end be able to do that yet. If he can't beat him by 12 to 14 yards, we're just going to sit it down. And again, big on this side. He's coming out. Okay. The inside receiver now versus cover 3 or versus a 3-deep type of scheme. We're going to try to stretch him. And I'll use the high school landmarks because that's what we used to be last year, is we'd like to get him off, down the seam, a couple yards outside that hash. That'd be the high school hash. For us, it's going to be about 4 yards outside now. Okay? We like to line him up. His initial alignment normally right now would be just a couple yards outside the hash. Okay. And we tell him this also. Don't line up where you got to release 2. Don't line up where you have to release 2 so a guy can line up right over top of you and prevent you to get to where you need to be. So you got to vary your alignment a little bit there in order to get down to that seam area. We want him to accelerate, beat the flat player, choke it down right into that 18 to 22 yard dead area again. Now we're going to take the middle receiver now. If we're out of a balance set, and I'll show you that in a little bit here, we'll get him in the same spot. But we're going to work him depth at a point where he's going to work 20 yards deep, 4 yards outside the far hash. So we're working at that angle. Now, very seldom do we ever get to that point before we throw to him. But that's the angle we're trying to work at. All right, now our back, once our back has made the play action fake, we're going to take him and check him out in the zip. And I'd highly recommend that. I'll tell you why here in just a minute. All right, now, first of all, our quarterbacks know by alignment when the free safety is playing over or inside number 3, it's 1, 2, 3, if he's playing inside or over number 3, then we know if we get downfield to a 2-on-1 situation, it's going to be with these two right here predominantly. This one to this one. A little later on when I show you when he's playing over number 2, okay, then we're looking as a 2-on-1 with our middle receiver and our tight end now who's the outside receiver because of a leverage situation. Now I'll show you that as we go along. Okay. In order to ensure that you're able to get the numbers working for you, that's what I talked about with the drop back game again, our first look is going to be to that strong safety very quickly. What do teams like to do to us? You know, we play Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's a big team here. They'll just run that strong safety out, play him on the vertical. They'll play him on the vertical. They'll jump the vertical coming across here, and they'll jump him. They can match up. Well, if you let them do that, you can do that. So we're going to take a quick look here. If he runs hard, then we're going to come back and take the comeback. Now, that's what Chad's going to do most of the time. If one of my other quarterbacks are in that don't have quite that strong arm, I'm telling them this. Strong safety runs hard, come back and take your zip. It's not as long a throw. I'm throwing from one hash to the other. So to me, you got the best of both worlds. I mean, you got a scheme that, depending upon how strong your quarterback is, it's not too hard to throw that little zip out there because he's gaining ground that direction anyhow. You know, and I realize at the high school level, you're not always going to have a guy that can throw from the hash to a depth of 16 yards deep over on the other half, over in the far boundary. But I'll let Chad take that or take the zip. Now, if he hangs, or if he runs or he hangs for any reason at all, we know then we're going to go to inside seam right now. That's our next look. So he hangs or runs, we're going to go to inside seam. Now, the biggest thing you got with our guys, we have problems with, those guys always want to come out of there and they want to race horse down the field, and I don't want it that deep. I want it around 18 to 22. I want it right in that soft area. Now, who's the next guy that can take it away? Well, it's the free safety, and if he takes it away, we're going to come right over here. Now, you got to understand what's happening here. With the play action, you've stripped him. He's not a factor. You've stripped him. He's not a factor. And you may have stripped him. He's not a factor. Okay. So they have no backers to play seams. Well, how do people play verticals? They play verticals with either linebackers or flat players, one of the two. Okay, so they don't have. So it's real difficult to cover versus cover 3. Okay. Now, we very seldom ever get this far with this particular look. That's what I said. Our quarterbacks know if he's lined up over number 3, the 2-on-1 is going to come with those two against him. That's why we try to get him, you know, approximately 4 yards outside our hashes. Your hashes would be a couple yards outside of your hashes. We want to get the maximum stretch on the middle third player. But in order to ensure that, we've got to take a quick look here, take our first read off of here. Because if we just allow him to run, now they can match up. Okay? Now, take that same thing. People like to play this against us. They like to go ahead and roll their coverage, go to cover 5, what we would call cover 5, play squat coverage here. Okay. Now you notice the free safety, the way that we're going to line up our Rex formation, that's going to force him, if he's going to play a has behind, he's going to have to play over number 2. Okay. So he's over number 2. So that tells us something right away. It tells my quarterback right away, hey, who's got leverage on the half player? He doesn't. He does. He's got automatic leverage on the half player. So we know we're going to get leverage here. His still 20 yards deep, 4 yards outside the hash. But he's got leverage there. With the play action fake, what have we said? And you'll see it on film. You'll see it happen. We've stripped him. So nothing's underneath. And in all likelihood now, we may have stripped him to some degree. We stretch now with the tight end. Okay. That's where our 2-on-1 is going to come. And he knows that pre-snap. I mean, he knows pre-snap read. He's over 2. Our 2-on-1 is going to come with our middle receiver and an outside receiver, which is going to be our tight end. We'll convert here. Down the boundary, we'll take our inside receiver. We'll work him right down the hash. Our hashes. If it was yours, it'd be a couple yards inside the hash. Okay? Because what we're trying to do over here, and we really don't get that far, here we're trying to create a 2-on-1 situation on this free. In other words, get the stretch here in this free, the maximum stretch we can get on this free, which is a half player, and the maximum stretch we can get on this corner, which is a half player. Okay? All right? So we'll take a quick look here just to see whether we get leverage on that safety. If the backers are stripped, we'll take a quick look there, but we know in all reality we're probably going to go 2-on-1 on the backside corner. 90% of the time it goes right there. Okay? Yeah. Right here, we don't even take a look at that strong safety dog versus the cover 2. If we know we're getting rolled corner coverage, we're getting a half player behind. We're going to take a quick look here, right here, just very briefly, just to see if we got leverage on it. If that half player wants to still play him outside, then we got him run up the seam for the leverage situation. It won't come off of a player. Not there, we're coming right on across to this guy right here, then to here. Our guys get there very quickly because they know that this is really a mismatch here. You got the 2-on-1. The time that we want to take it off the strong is if they're sitting there in a cover 3 look, because now they can play verticals with it. Okay? Any questions over that? Okay. All right, out of a balanced set, we do somewhat the same thing. It's just a little bit different. It's a call that we incorporate. Before I do that, let me very quickly, and it won't take but a minute, just a different formation. We like this out of trips, obviously, with where we run all verticals. And that same scheme that I just told you, we also run off the drop back game. It's not quite as good because you can't strip the underneath coverage, but if you put the draw fake on it, now you can. Okay, and so we would draw fake it normally, take it on downfield. Trips, same thing really. We'll go ahead and roll it. Excuse me here. Very quickly. If we were 53, we'd have to make sure the tackle's uncovered, right? Because we have big over here. And okay. Conversion, comeback. It's conversion. Right up the seam, so we're going right up the hash. Our hashes would be, your hashes would be 2 yards inside. 20 yards deep, 4 yards outside the hash. And that's just the angle that we want to get it at. We never get that far, hardly. Okay. Conversion comeback. Okay. And again, our guys are thinking right now, hey, if we can get leverage on him, yeah, we're going there 1, but this is really what we're getting here. Just because of the cover 2 situation, we know automatically it's going to be between him and him. 2-on-1 downfield. Okay. All right, now, when we get into a balanced set, we'll do the same thing in terms of verticals, but I really like this a little bit better, where we make a call for it. I'll take it against 2 here first. You remind me in case I forget 2. I want to come back and show you a little bit against man free, because Minnesota ran that a lot against us. You'll see on the tape what situation that presented for them, and it's very difficult. Okay, free behind strong corner, backer. Now, if we're in the middle of the field, what we'll do in the middle of the field, we'll run 53 pass, and we'll run it identical to what we drew out of the trips look. In that's conversion comeback. Okay. Conversion comeback, so we're still conversion there. Now we're looking for us right down the hash, which ought to put that free slightly outside. Put us in what we're looking for is a leverage situation. For you guys at the high school, for the high school hashes, you'd actually be 2 yards inside the hash to try to get that leverage. Most people want to play their has coverage on the hash. And we would take our tight end, same way, right down the hash, our hashes, to gain leverage on him. And we would, same thing, we're looking there, number 1. Right back here now, we're 2-on-1 on him. Safety wants to, if he wants to play us back inside, then we're going to come back out here. If he wants to go ahead and play that, we're going to take it here. Okay? So that doesn't change anything. Now that's only from the middle of the field. We don't really get in that situation too often. We get to the boundary, and this is what we'd like to do. Oops. Let me, let me backtrack here a little bit, guys. Let me show you against cover 3 as well. Okay, if we were against cover 3 as well, same fake, 53 pass. His rule is conversion comeback, right? Okay, so now he's on comeback. Okay, we put him at the top of the numbers. This would be from the middle of the field. His rule versus 3 is release, using good release techniques. We'll use that same release technique off that strong safety as anybody that would be up in a press position, for example, in a corner or wherever, where we're trying to get to a point where we're just far enough away that we can we can reach out and touch his hand, but he can't get to us. Because one of the things we'll do is we'll freeze the defender with our feet. We get eye contact with the near hand, and we take that away. I just push it away or slap it away right here, and I don't swim, but I drive that far hand through. And I don't want it ever to get above the shoulder width because I don't want to expose those ribs. I'll just drive that arm through. That way, if I do miss and he does get to my waist, I can take it away again, and then we accelerate back upfield. So we would want to get him 4 yards outside the hash. Okay. And then the tight end, we'd want to do the same thing. 4 yards outside the hash. The backside would be comeback. Now our read would be the same as we did out of trips. We want to take a brief look at him. Now remember, our back is checking zip. We're going to take a brief look at that strong safety. If he hangs and just runs vertically, then we're going to come back out and take comeback or take the zip. We won't get any further. If he squats or runs, then we're coming down to the inside seam to that seam. And obviously, we never get that far, guys, but ideally, if your flat player runs over there, then you take it right on across. You just take it across the board. But we know right now that if he hangs or runs and we get to the seams, that's our 2-on-1. That's where the numbers work for us. Now, we used to run this scheme, and we said, well, we go ahead and run them regardless. And what happened was corners started playing you halfway between those two, and it became deep enough that they could come back off and help on the inside seam. So we stopped doing that, and we started setting guys down to where now they do have to sit down with you, so they can't help on that seam. Okay. In other words, people were trying to take the stretch away from you by halfway between your seam and your outside go route. Okay. So that's the thing. That's what we do off of cover 3. In the middle of the field, now if we get to the boundary, which you spend most of your time on the boundary, what we would do and like to do, again, and we can do this against 3 and we can do it against 2. I'll do it against 2 here first. We go 53 pass. Front side remains the same. Conversion comeback. We're still trying to, let's get those guys out of whack here. We're still trying to get right down the hash, which ought to give us leverage on that strong. Okay. Again, we've pretty much voided those two with play action fake. And that's the beauty to me of play action pass. If you get rid of those backers. Because, those are the guys that always step up and get those interceptions. So if you can get rid of those backers, okay, then we'll call the backside, we'll call switch. We'll call 53 pass switch. And some of you guys that familiar with some of the run and shoot teams and so where they run this route quite a little bit. What we'll do is just switch responsibilities. We'll like it off of the boundary. We'll actually tighten the tight end down more to about 6 yards. Tighten the flanker down to the tight end to about 6 yards. We don't like him quite as wide. And we just replace responsibilities. What we're really trying to do is to get him right back up the hash for us. And we tell him very simply, if you can beat him over the top, beat him over the top. Well, you're not going to beat a half player over the top most of the time. Okay? Can't beat him over the top, sit it down, and find open area. Okay? Outside, the inside receiver now, he takes the outside vertical, so we just take him right off his butt, Same thing, beat him over the top. If you can beat him over the top, can't beat him over the top, set it down. We don't give them any particular depths. Generally, that's going to end up, for our tight end, is going to end up somewhere around 10 yards, 12 yards. For our free safety, it'll end up, or for our flanker coming back inside, 12 to 14 yards. Now, again, we're looking predominantly, they're number one. If we can get that leverage situation, we'll go ahead and throw that. It's an easy throw. You've stripped the underneath coverage, not a long throw. Now, I will tell him this. If he's collapsed hard, and you can see in your vision, as he's coming back out on play action, on the 53 pass, and he's looking out there at that safety, he can see right through his vision. He can see whether this guy's got off scot-free off the corner. If he's sitting there on your half player, yeah, we'll go ahead and take that. And we do on the tape, you'll see that. But that's not where you get most of them, and that's not where I really prefer to go to them all the time. I'm looking there, number one, not there, and I'm going to read the switch route from the inside out. I'm going to look there, number two, there, number three. This is what opens up most of the time. This and this, but predominantly this, because you stripped all the underneath coverage. I mean, there's nobody there. There's nobody there. Okay. Against three, doing the same thing. Incidentally, too, when we go 53 pass with our quarterback, as opposed to our outside zone, when we take our snap, we're going to pocket the ball first. When we take our first step, we already extend the ball. We want to show run. So we're extending the ball as we're coming back on the steps. We want to emphasize the run. And we're going to run the football, and yeah, you could pick this up, I guess, but I don't think most people do. When we run the football, we keep the thing pocketed as we're coming back, and we extend it on our last step. We just want to emphasize when we're throwing, we want to emphasize the run. Okay, coming off number three again, we're conversion comeback. Front side, that doesn't change any. Vertical seam, it's a seam route for us. For us, it's 4 yards outside the hash. Clear the safety, clear the flat player, come under control. The back side, do the same thing. He's coming back inside. Now his where he wants to get to now is 4 yards outside the hash and right up the seam, because we want to get the maximum stretch on him. Our tight end now comes back right off his butt, back up field, and we'd like that to be 3 or 4 yards from the boundary. We want to get that kind of stretch. Can't beat him over the top, which normally we can't. We're going to set it down there, and that'll end up about 12 yards. Okay? Now we voided him. We avoided him. That's what happens most of the time. Okay? You still take the same look that you did before. Yeah, off the switch. We're going to take a quick peek here. Whoops, let me get the rest of it up here. Quick peek here, so in case they run him vertical. They just run him vertical, we're coming come back zip. If they go ahead and hang, squat, or run, we're coming inside seam to backside switch. And we're telling him, if you can beat him over the top, you get a free safety that wants to play in there flat, and they do that at times, particularly the play action. If he wants to sit in there flat and you can beat him over the top, we'll take him over the top, and we'll go ahead and throw that down there. If not, and he goes ahead and takes that seam away, and he can do that, we can just set it down in that open area. We voided the underneath coverage, so forth. That's just about. If they would go ahead and fence post that for some reason, then we come back over to our tight end. We just take it right on across the board. So your reads happen over and over and over. Now, the same thing that we do with 53 pass, we can go back to our drop back game, put the same scheme with it, and do it off of draw fakes. It's not quite as effective. You won't hold those backers quite as much, but it's better than no draw fake when you run verticals. Now, I think that the thing you have to do is you have to incorporate then and understand how that fits into your whole game plan. If people are running, and I'm talking about now, for example, if we go back and we talked about using that same scheme now with the drop back game, and you can, and the reads are identical. If they're running linebackers hard with verticals inside seams, okay, then you want to come back to the draw game. Okay? If they're sitting linebackers in there for the draw game, get your draw fake and run your verticals. If they're running flat players with seams, that's the two ways they take it away normally. If they're taking flat players with seams, then you can come back out, and you know, your outside receivers, they'll end up with comebacks. You can go ahead and run your comebacks. So you got to work that whole thing together. Let me get that tape on because it's going to take a little bit of time here, and it really illustrates things pretty well. There you go, thanks. Now let me rewind this. We're looking at the free safety now is playing either over 3 or inside 3. So we know the 2-on-1 is basically going to come between these two right here. Our quarterback, though, ought to be looking at him first to see what happens, to make sure we can ensure that. Okay, right away here, he's running hard to the flat. We know now, hey, we can get downfield. Look what happens to your backers. If I can find it here. Yeah, look at your backers here, how they flatten out. You avoided them. So now we're 2-on-1 downfield here. We'd like to get 3 to 4 yards outside the hash here. We'd like him to choke just a little bit more here, not get downfield quite so far. And you can see how that just voids that particular area. He's forced to run out here and play the flat, or we can throw the comeback or the zip. We're looking then right away at the inside seam. We'd like to throw it right in that area. I'd like to have our inside receiver choke just a little bit more in that area. If he takes it away, we come right back over here. Now you can see it. You can see this real well from the quarterback's viewpoint. I think you'll be able to see it here. See how he extends the ball early? So it's totally voided out there. It's not a hard throw. That seam is not a difficult throw. Plus you're doing it over and over and over. Okay, again, it's playing back inside number 3, so we're going to end up with our 2-on-1 here, but our first read, we're going to take a quick look here to make sure. He squats, we know right away. He squats, we are in good shape now to get our verticals. This is Andre Coleman here, but he does a nice job of just sitting it down here in that open area. We don't get any further than that. Don't have to get any further than that. This against the with the close-up look. See, Chad hangs in there a little long, and before he looks back downfield, and I'd like him to look downfield a little bit sooner. You can just see how those backers are voided out of there. And this coming off the boundary, and I forgot to go through this with you, but I can show you to you on tape. Versus man-free. Minnesota wanted to go man-free. So they're going to play outside leverage with him, and him, and play a free safety over the top. They don't jump people hard with their free safety. So now we know, just on alignment alone, hey, we know these things. We know, number one, that he's one-on-one. So comeback is a viable route for us. We also know that the zip, check and zip, probably going to end up with a linebacker on it. So that's not a bad situation. But more importantly than that, we know just from leverage alone, this guy's trying to play him outside, and we're going to try to bring him across 20 yards deep, 4 yards outside the hash. We got automatic leverage. Now he may have to flatten out a little bit to get underneath him and just watch what happens. Because they're going to void these guys. Play action will take care of him. Those two. So he's got a natural leverage position. They still wanted to play there free and give deep help. You know, it was almost a gift. This is on the 2-yard line. Again, you know, be somewhat unpredictable with your offense. And we had great faith in Chad making good decisions. And I think we got probably 2 or 3 of these on here. Same situation. Leveraged R, or your middle receiver outside. So again, we know if we get rid of these two with the play action fake and he's playing him deep, he can't play it. Now Mitch does a nice job. He flattens that out and he realizes what he's trying to accomplish. So, you know, we probably ran this half a dozen times against him. We probably should have ran it 20 times against him. Okay, now we got the situation where the free safety is playing over number 2. We know then that the 2-on-1 really is going to come predominantly with him and him against him, if we're going to take the shorter throw. You know, I wouldn't recommend necessarily worrying about getting a 2-on-1. You can get a 2-on-1 with these two, too, against him, but it's a heck of a longer throw. So just from leverage or from alignment alone, we know we're in a situation now where we can get 2-on-1 with him and him against him. And we can strip the underneath coverage. Now, we still tell him to take a look here in case he gets leverage on him, but in this case we don't. Now, he flattens it out a little bit. But again, the key is the play action gets rid of this guy right here. Puts a big hole in there. You don't have to be a great passer then to throw that. Again, he's extending the ball right away. Boom. See, right there, if you freeze it, there's no underneath coverage there. It's all been stripped. That's not a long throw. Okay, again, they're playing over number 2. Now we're out of a trip slow. Excuse me. This is out of what we would turn double right. 2 tight ends. Okay. Outside receiver, inside receiver, middle receiver, outside receiver. He's playing over number 2. We know the 2-on-1 ought to happen between these two against him. Sometimes it doesn't always work that way. Now, here's what ought to happen here. Number 1, he's got inside to outside, so he's got blitz pickup. This is the unannounced blitz. What are they showing? They're showing cover 5 or cover 2 halves coverage. They bring him off the inside receiver. Well, he's got blitz pickup. Now, the one thing that ought to have happened but didn't is Chad should have recognized that, our quarterback, and our wide receiver ought to recognize that, and he should have come off and treated it just like an uncovered. Should have just froze wherever he was at, thrown the uncovered. Now, I left that in there for our guys just for teaching's sake. And again, when I deal with quarterbacks or teach quarterbacks, I try to teach them, when we go through everything, I go through what everybody does. I don't expect them to know exactly what everybody does, but I think it's important for them to get a general feeling for who has blitz pickup responsibilities, for example. That would have helped him right here. I think it helps him when he knows how the blocking is going to go down, particularly in the protection scheme of things. All right, right here. Now the guy's actually somewhere in between number 3 and number 2, but he's going to end up coming on out here. They're going to play cover 3, but he's wide enough here right now. I don't have any problem just because of alignment thinking, hey, we'll take 2-on-1 with those 2 against him, because he's got leverage already on him. So just your pre-snap read, you know where you can go. See, he's already out of it. He's in a position already to take the front side vertical away. Now, that was a heck of a throw there. You should have let him get a little bit deeper or come on down the boundary. But see, you can see right here, there's nobody back inside of him, so he's already got leverage on the free safety. Now, we didn't get quite as good a strip here out of the linebacker. We didn't get him stripped. But when they make plays like that, it doesn't make any difference. This is out of a trips look. Tight end this side, 2 wide outs and a wide out this way. Again, we can go to 53 pass because we've got an uncovered tackle. Free safety's back in over number 3 or inside number 3, so we know right away we're going to go 2-on-1 with him and him, with him and him against him. But we've got to take a quick look at that strong and see what's going to happen. He squats, we know already we're going to get the seam unless he takes it away. He just kind of pulls him back inside a little bit. This is your man call over here where your tackle's got to go ahead and reach that far guy. On this, he doesn't, yeah. On this, yeah, he would. He'd still make the same calls. We incidentally, too, and it's important when you're doing this, if you incorporate those calls in the passing game, you also got to incorporate some of those same calls in your run game. And we use some of those identical calls so people can't pick up on it. Every time you're making those calls, it's run or pass. Okay, now this was a set that we used. It was against the University of Missouri. With the inside and the outside zone, we put another tight end in there, trying to create that, everybody's into gap defenses, so we're trying to create that extra gap. We felt like, again, if we're going to run outside zone, trying to create the extra gap, or inside zone, trying to create the extra gap, then we had to play action pass on it. We treat it the same way. Outside receiver, inside receiver, middle receiver. This was a heavy run formation for us in that particular game. They really try to get to the same areas. Needs to take a quick look at him. Now, he could have very easily here come on out and taken the comeback, but the guy had already beaten him. He'd already beaten him. So he knew then, hey, we're going to get 2-on-1 on him, with him and him, those two right there. Now, it looks a little tighter there than it does in the close-up. Watch close-up, it's a little bit easier. That's the shortest throw. To me, I want my guys always taking the shortest throw if we can, just simply because there's less interceptions, higher percentage, so forth. Okay, he's playing over number 3 or inside number 3. We're 2-on-1 with him and him. Now this is a trips look against him. We want to take a quick look at him to see what happens. Okay, he's going to squat. He's squatting, so we know we're going to get the inside seam. Not there, we'll come back to the back side. Now, he should have, this is a bad read by Chad, however, he completes it anyhow. Right here where he's squatted, what he has to recognize right there, he's got him beat. The free safety's not even a factor. Probably a touchdown. He lays it over his head. I think we ran this individual pass as well as a switch 44 times or something like that which is quite a bit for us. Again, the trips tight look. Same thing. He's playing over inside number 3, so that's where our 2-on-1 is going to come. Make the numbers work for you. Now we should have picked up that backside backer, but our center got messed up there. Okay, let me play this on. Whoops. Now we knew this going in the Copper Bowl. Now they actually were closer to over number 3 here, but we knew they'd like to play roll corner coverage, was going to put him as a half player. So we worked all week knowing that, hey, we're going to get the 2-on-1 here and here against that corner because of the leverage situation. That's exactly what we do. We got that was Mitch Running, which was our middle receiver at the time. Again, you're trying to strip the underneath coverage. You see, he takes the play action fake. He's got to play that, because if he doesn't, we're going to run our outside zone play. Okay, and this is this switch scheme off of it. I don't like running it here. I'd rather run regular 53 pass. In other words, we're in the middle of the field. I'd rather run the regular pass rather than the switch scheme, although it worked out okay. Now, versus 3, should have really come right back over here. Now, you'll see sometimes here, we also, during the year, ran comebacks. We'd start a little in move or a post move and then bring it back down the boundary. We've switched that pretty much to all comebacks. We can do it either way. Right back there, not there, we can come right over here and take the switch route, inside to outside. We take the inside, you watch the from behind here and you get a little bit better idea. Should read it the same way, off the strong first, the inside seam. Okay, that guy gets out of there pretty good in the inside seam. See that backer? He's out of there. We just set it down in an open area. Short throw. Not difficult to be accurate with it. Switch again. Now we're off the hash. That's where I like it. Against cover 2. Was 2. See the stem. They went to 4 open or too easy. Now, had a chance here, probably right here, because we had some leverage. Okay, or we can take the comeback. Our guys got so much great faith, though, in coming back knowing these two guys are going to be stripped against two, and they end up with the switch. I don't mind them doing that. It's an easy throw. And it's an open area cut, so they're just going to set it down in that wherever they can find room. Okay, now this, we ended up, like I said, we jump into pro every once in a while. and I tell you, we shouldn't have jumped into pro against Iowa State because Iowa State did a nice job and beat us. You know, but we'd like to do it every once in a while. Now we're going to go ahead and run 53 pass switch using our back as the inside receiver on switch. We can do it as long as the tackle's uncovered. Now we'd like him to get just a little bit more width. You know, he really ought to be right up this hash. He should be the outside conversion. Okay, you can see what happens here, though. We look the inside seam, not there. Come back to the switch. There's no underneath coverage left. It's stripped. He's got to sit in there and play a run. By the time he can recoup, it's already there. Now, this is one of those situations Chad saw where that half player, first of all, by alignment, you know the half player is inside the hash a couple yards. Well, you know, normally with the old hashes, you put him on the hash. Well, now the new hashes, that's actually a couple yards inside anyhow. So that's 4 yards inside what we used to face. That's pretty hard for him to handle the boundary route. He squatted. So Chad came right on up here and took this. But now also look at the backside. Look at the backside switch. Now, I wouldn't always recommend that one because that's an awful long throw. Okay, again, this is also out of the pro. Taking the switch route with the two. See, all we do is say, hey, there's the outside receiver, here's the inside receiver. Here's the outside receiver, here's the inside receiver. Still one back. Now, we run some two-back plays off of that, but... Okay, look to the front side. Hey, sat right on the seam. Now, he could have, at that point, if we would have got our back out, hit the zip, or the comeback. He could have done that at that point. But he's sitting on the seam. He took it on across, looking for the, the switch route. Take it from the inside out. They collapsed on the inside, left the outside by himself. If J.J. would just keep his feet, we'd walk it in. But that would be out of a pro set. This was in the Copper Bowl. Now, we ended up, he got leverage on the inside safety, and we took it. If not there, though, if you take it on by, and this is what I was talking about, his rule is beat him over the top if he can. If not, sit it down and find open space. Normally in cover 2 or halves coverage or quarter coverage, he's going to sit it down and find open space. Here the guy squatted on him a little bit and ran right on by him. We would tell him normally, anytime you're even up, go ahead and throw it downfield. Okay. Let me get some lights here. Okay. Anybody have any questions over any of the things I talked about in the last 2 sessions? Yes, sir. When he's going to the opposite side, really where the guy that's covering him up's at, and his release. If he's back inside, we're normally going to take him over the top. Because normally out of 53 pass, that outside backer that's walked has to be responsible for back inside on the outside zone. So normally the play action will allow us to get him over the top. I'd rather do that than come in front of his face, yeah. If he's not honoring that, then we ought to be into the outside zone. Yeah, we'd like to be anyhow. Any other questions?
What were the steps on your outside comebacks again? You were saying
On the outside comebacks, we're basically, first of all, we align we like to not get any wider than the top of the numbers. That stem is going to get us to a point approximately to the bottom of the numbers. That stem could end up straight. It could end up with just a little bit of a weave. We'll work a little sprint, glide, sprint type action. We'd like to try to make that look like we're trying to run on by on a go route. So we'll get to about 12 to 13 yards. Now, the one thing that we like to do with downfield routes, we like to be able to time them up a little bit. We can't time them up just by steps and that type of thing. So we'll use a trigger move. We'll take a slight left crossover, right, left, which puts us at a slight 45-degree angle. That tells our quarterback when he starts that angle, throw it over here. So that's a timing type thing. Plus, we also, when we do that, it's very easy to make it look like that, like the go route where you're going to run on by. So we don't like to do like what the run and shoot teams and so forth will put their hand up and identify that. We'll use a trigger move or something of that nature. Okay. Any other questions you might have? Okay, like I said, I'll be here the rest of the evening. If any of you want to try to get with me, I can go over any of the other schemes or any questions you might have. I'd be happy to do that. I have nothing better to do this evening, so I know we just really got into a very small portion of it. It's always nice to get out at clinics, and see a lot of familiar faces. I've gotten to see some people down here in the St. Louis area they haven't seen for a number of years. We've been very fortunate at Kansas State. We've got a couple of key players out of here this year, and every year that we've been at Kansas State, we've got some key players. We got David Conley this year, very good player. McClure North and Ryan Young, Parkway Central. He's mammoth, 350 pounds, 330 pounds. You need truck scales to weigh him, but we're very appreciative of the coaches in this area and the coaches at the clinic and so forth for supporting us. Thank you very much.